We're sure that all the Witcher fans out there are in shock, like us, because we just had The Witcher Season 4 completely tear our hearts apart, especially with the dramatic finale. Now, we're just sitting around wondering what in the actual hell is going to happen when Season 5 rolls around. I mean, the finale, Baptism of Fire, left us with so many cliffhangers that we can't decide which storyline we're more anxious about. So, let's break down what we think might actually go down in that final season, and trust us, it's gonna get messy. Before we get into this explanation, we do have a very short request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to the channel. It's a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The Ciri situation. Escape from captivity. Let's start with the absolute hardest pill to swallow from Season 4, and that's what happened to Ciri. So, when we left off, Leo Bonhart, this absolute psychopath of a bounty hunter, had just slaughtered the entire Rat's crew right in front of Ciri. He brutally murdered every single one of her found family. Everyone who meant something to her has been wiped out in one tragic moment, and now she's in Leo's clutches, which is basically the worst possible scenario we can imagine. Here's where Season 5 comes in, and this is straight out of the source material, so buckle up. Ciri is going to be taken to someone even worse than Leo. She's going to end up in the hands of Stefan Skellen, this ruthless Nilfgaardian intelligence agent who's going to be just as brutal, if not more so. The books tell us that Ciri manages to escape, but not without paying a serious price. That iconic scar across her face, the one that every Witcher 3 fan recognizes is coming, and it's coming in Season 5. Skellen's going to throw some kind of magical weapon at her as she flees, and it's going to leave that permanent mark. Instead of just running away and hiding, Ciri's going to stumble onto something absolutely insane, the Tower of the Swallow itself. This is a portal to alternate realities, to different timelines and possibilities. When Ciri enters it, she's transported somewhere completely different, somewhere that offers her knowledge and power that she's never experienced before. In the show, they might adjust this, but we're betting they're keeping that core concept because it's honestly just too good not to. Geralt's new identity, the Knight of Rivia. Now let's talk about Geralt, because his arc in Season 4 ended with something pretty unexpected. He got knighted, and he's now technically a Knight of Rivia after helping Queen Meve defend that crucial bridge. And honestly, that's going to complicate everything in Season 5, because here's the thing about being a knight, you've got obligations now. You've got political ties, and Geralt absolutely hates politics. We think what's going to happen is that Geralt's going to find himself torn between his duty to find Ciri and his newfound responsibility to Queen Meve and Rivia. He's going to want nothing more than to drop the whole knight thing and just go search for Ciri, but the crown isn't going to let him off that easy. There's going to be this constant tension throughout Season 5 where Geralt's just trying to figure out who he's actually loyal to, his daughter or his new position. And you know what? We think he's eventually going to choose Ciri over everything else, because that's just who Geralt is. He's always going to choose his found family over duty. But there's another element here that we think is going to play a huge role. Emhyr, the White Flame Emperor, knows that Geralt exists, and he's actively hunting him down. Emhyr is going to see Geralt as an obstacle to his plans, because Geralt is the one person who can actually protect Ciri from him. So there's going to be this three-way dynamic in Season 5 where Geralt is trying to find and rescue Ciri, Emhyr is trying to capture both of them for his prophecy, and all of this is happening while Geralt's still technically bound to Rivia. Yennefer's battle against Vilgefortz. Let's move on to Yennefer, because her storyline at the end of Season 4 left us with a cliffhanger that we're still not over. Last time we saw her, she stepped through a dark portal to confront Vilgefortz directly, and the next thing we know, she's thrown into a raging ocean during a massive whirlwind. We don't know if she survived that jump, and that's going to be a major plot point in Season 5, but here's what we think is actually going on beneath the surface. Yennefer created the Lodge of Sorceresses, this new order of female magic users dedicated to protecting people and opposing Vilgefortz's tyranny. In Season 5, we think we're going to see the Lodge become this central force in the war against Vilgefortz. Yennefer's going to have allies now, which is huge because she can't face Vilgefortz alone. The guy's too powerful. He's got control over the portals, he's been conducting horrifying experiments, and he's basically become a nightmare made flesh. Now, if Yennefer survived that ocean encounter, and we're betting she did because Netflix isn't going to kill off one of their main characters off screen, then Season 5 is going to show her journey back and the formation of this powerful magical coalition. the Lodge of Sorceresses is going to be crucial in the final battle against Vilgefortz, and more importantly, Yennefer's entire motivation is to clear the way for Ciri's return. We're also thinking that we're going to see more complexity in Vilgefortz's character. The guy's not just evil for evil's sake. He's got this twisted belief that he's saving the world, that his experiments and his control over magic are necessary to prevent some catastrophe. That doesn't excuse what he's done, obviously, but it makes him more interesting as a villain.
My heir will be born of elder blood of my daughter's womb. It's that...
Emhyr's obsession and the Elder Blood prophecy. The White Flame Emperor has been trying to capture Ciri this entire time because of this prophecy about the Elder Blood. According to his beliefs, Ciri needs to have a child with him, her own father, and that child is going to rule the entire world. Emhyr is this corrupted, power-hungry tyrant willing to do unspeakable things to fulfill his version of destiny. In Season 4, we saw Emhyr directly send a creature after Geralt, trying to eliminate him because he sees Geralt as the protector standing in the way of his plans. In Season 5, we think Emhyr is going to become far more active and involved in the conflict. He's going to be directly involved in the hunt for Ciri, and this is going to put him into direct opposition with basically everyone. Geralt, Yennefer, the Lodge, all of it. There's also the political intrigue surrounding Emhyr that we think will play a role. He's an emperor, which means he's got enemies within his own court. There are probably people in Nilfgaard who are either jealous of his power or who actually oppose his methods. In the books, there's Stefan Skellen, who's working for multiple factions and has his own agenda that doesn't necessarily align with Emhyr's. We think Season 5 is going to show us that Emhyr's power, while vast, isn't absolute. The Tower of the Swallow and reality-bending magic. The Tower of the Swallow is a gateway to alternate realities and different timelines. In the books, the tower is described as this ancient otherworldly structure that exists partially outside of the normal world, which means it can show people things they desperately need to see. For Ciri, the tower is going to be pivotal because it's going to grant her access to knowledge and power that she couldn't get anywhere else. She's going to learn about her heritage, about what the Elder Blood actually means, and about the true scope of her abilities. We think the tower is also going to serve as a moment of empowerment for Ciri in Season 5. She's going to come out of there transformed, scarred, but stronger, and ready to take control of her own destiny. From a production standpoint, we're absolutely expecting some incredible visual effects sequences centered around the tower. Netflix has been throwing serious resources at The Witcher, and the Tower of Souls is the perfect opportunity to show off some mind-bending magical visuals. We're thinking reality-warping effects, alternate dimensions, maybe even glimpses of different timelines or possible futures. The Convergence. Multiple storylines colliding. All of these separate storylines, Ciri's escape and quest for power, Geralt's struggle between duty and loyalty, Yennefer's war against Vilgefortz, and Emhyr's obsessive hunt, they're all going to collide in this massive, explosive finale. The Tower of the Swallow is probably going to be the physical location where all these threads come together. We're imagining a scenario where Geralt and his companions finally catch up to Ciri just as she's escaping from Skellen and Leo Bonhart. Then, Emhyr's forces show up because he's also tracking Ciri. Meanwhile, Yen and the Lodge of Sorceresses are trying to defeat Vilgefortz, who's manipulating things from the shadows. And somehow, someway, all of this chaos converges at the Tower of the Swallow. It's going to be absolute pandemonium, but it's also going to be the moment where all of our main characters finally come together for the endgame. The tower itself might even be the deciding factor in all of this. If Ciri can unlock its full power, she can harness the Elder Blood in a way she's never done before. It might be the key to stopping not just Vilgefortz, but Emhyr as well. The prophecy that everyone's been chasing about Ciri and the Elder Blood might end up being something completely different from what Emhyr believes. The emotional core, family and destiny. The Witcher has never just been about the action and the politics, it's been about found family and the struggle between destiny and free will. Geralt's whole arc has been about learning that he can choose his own path instead of being bound by the law of surprise. Ciri's journey has been about discovering who she is beyond the prophecy and the power. Yennefer's story has been about finding meaning and purpose beyond ambition. Season 5 is going to bring all of that to a head. We're going to see these characters finally understanding why they don't have to let prophecy dictate their futures. Ciri doesn't have to fulfill Emhyr's twisted vision. Geralt doesn't have to be bound by destiny. Yennefer doesn't have to sacrifice everything for power. They're going to make conscious choices about who they want to be, and those choices are going to define the ending of the series. We're expecting some genuinely emotional moments in Season 5. There's going to be a reunion between Geralt and Ciri that's going to hit hard because they've been separated for so long and so much has happened. There's going to be a moment where Yennefer and Ciri finally meet as family, and it's going to be complicated and painful and beautiful all at once. There might even be a moment of vulnerability from Geralt where he actually talks about his feelings instead of just grunting and walking away. The final battle against Vilgefortz and Emhyr is going to be important, obviously, but we think the real climax is going to be Ciri making a choice about who she wants to be. That's what's going to make Season 5 a worthy conclusion to this epic journey.
What an exciting day.
What we don't know yet. Of course, there's a ton of stuff that we can't predict because the show has diverged significantly from the books in various ways. The Witcher has always been willing to make bold changes to the source material, and sometimes those changes worked brilliantly, and sometimes they've been questionable. So there's probably a few major plot twists coming in Season 5 that none of us are expecting. For example, we don't know how exactly the show is going to handle the Lady of the Lake storyline, which is from the final book in the series. There's also this whole section of the books that's set in the future, Nimew's story, and we're not entirely sure how the show is going to incorporate that into the final season. The books have a pretty specific ending in mind, but the show might take it in a completely different direction. There's also the question of what happens to some of the supporting characters. We lost Vesemir, Kira, and Margarita in Season 4, which were all pretty shocking departures from the books. So we're wondering who else might not make it to the end of Season 5. Marvelous verdict. The countdown begins, and it is worth the wait. You can probably tell from our predictions that we expect a rather eventful 5th season. We're looking at escaped prisoners, magical towers, prophecies that might not be what they seem, and hopefully, a conclusion that actually feels earned and satisfying. Netflix is expecting Season 5 to drop sometime in late 2026, which means we've got over a year to speculate and theorize about everything we just talked about. We're cautiously optimistic about how all of this will wrap up. The Witcher has had some absolutely phenomenal moments, especially in Season 4 with the battle sequences and the character moments. If they can bring that same level of quality to the final season and actually stick the landing, something that's historically been pretty difficult for fantasy shows, we're in for something special. Let us know in the comments down below about your thoughts on these theories, and also tell us what you'd like to see unfold in the next season. While you're down there, if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.